This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 77 of Beers in the Lot. This week, we got into a myriad of topics, including skating on the creek and how a couple of our local beer league friends made the paper. John and Danny talked about how they had a shootout in their Sunday night game with 5 hat tricks in the game. And we talked about the Olympics, the men's, women's, a coaching injury, and a bunch of other stuff as well. All right, let's get to it.
Mine's just a twist off. I'll deal with it in a few seconds. What are you drinking tonight, Aaron?
From our friends at Flying Dog, I have a Chesapeake wheat, American wheat.
You'll like that.
Yeah, you're going to like that.
I know I'm going to like it. I bought this a few days ago. I had to save one because they're so good.
Yes.
I love these. They're delicious. Daniel, what you got?
So tonight I have a Brewdog Hellcat. It's a beer. I haven't really read much into it, but it's got
it's an alcoholic beverage, I think.
It's got Iron Maiden on it. Iron
yeah,
Maiden,
it does.
Yeah.
So, there's got to be a story
That's
behind
good.
it. I just noticed that, so
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that. It's a IPA, American IPA. What's an IPA lager?
Wait, what? IPL? Isn't an
No,
IPL?
IPL, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Aaron would probably like it, right?
Maybe. Might be too much hops.
Yeah.
What do you got tonight, Riggs?
I have from my hometown of Gaithersburg, Maryland, Elder Pines Southern Hemisphere Haze. Hazy IPA made with 2 varieties of hops that are only found in Australia and New Zealand. So, yeah, it is excellent. I too had to save one because I only bought 2 of them, and I had one over the weekend. I had to make sure that I had one for the pod because it is excellent. And I believe that Johnny has iced himself.
I got iced.
While Daniel has a beer, I don't know if the same could be said about John.
I got iced. Somehow I got this Smirnoff Ice Raspberry in my hand. I don't know how. Like I came upstairs and it was like, oh God, somebody iced me. I don't know who. It was very weird. The whole chain of events that occurred. I don't know what happened. So give me a second.
Oh, there it goes.
Well, you have to be on one knee, sir. That doesn't count. You have to be on one knee.
I'm in a chair, so
Close enough. Goodbye, ice.
actually I'll be honest, like the raspberry is actually more enjoyable.
Do the raspberries taste like raspberries?
Definitely. I'd do that to myself again. I mean, I would let somebody do that to me again. Yeah. It's good.
That's kind of weird. Okay.
Yeah. Danny said the other week he wished somebody iced him. He was all upset. Nobody iced him.
Yeah, this is true.
So yeah.
John with a semi-rare self-ice.
Is that called frostbite? Like how do we want to like how do you self ice yourself? Like frostbite or something? I don't know. We gotta coin that somehow. Well, figure it out. What's new? Anything exciting?
Interesting picture on the front page of our local paper today, wasn't there? Of the Frederick News Post.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just ran home from a beer league game with the team that I play for that's outside of Old Fat Ball Guys, the Attaboy Beer team, which is affiliated with the brewery Attaboy Beer, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Weird.
And some of those folks, some of my teammates, I couldn't join them because I had to coach a game yesterday morning. So we record on Monday, so Sunday morning. And they took it upon themselves, since most of the local shallow bodies of water in the region are frozen enough to support the weight of many skaters on them. They skated the famous Carroll Creek
That's fucking awesome.
in downtown Frederick, Maryland, and made the front page of the local newspaper, the Frederick News Post. So you can see the Attaboy sweaters prominently displayed skating on Carroll Creek in downtown Frederick, Maryland.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, super cool.
Skating on a pond is one thing, but skating on like probably the most known, water in the city of Frederick. That's pretty cool.
The most known flood control feature of a municipality.
But you think about it, a month ago, that had a lot of the local businesses. Flying Dog does one, and a few others. They do these kind of boats, and
they're like mini boats, right?
Yeah,
no weaving it out of them.
Some are still there. Yeah,
no, they're all still there. They go until March-ish. It depends on the weather and stuff like that. Yeah,
in December that was, I wouldn't say clear water because it's never clear. You can't ever see the bottom, but we know it's shallow. But yeah, you get the point. They have those lighted boats on there. It's always cool to see. Flying Dog always has a good one. A month ago, a bunch of us, because we were out downtown for our annual Christmas shenanigans, kind of walked down there. Some remember the walk, others don't, whatever.
That's beside the point.
Yeah, but then funny how a month later, some guys are skating on it. Like, kind of cool to see.
Well, they skated
in and out
pretty far down too, didn't they? How far did they actually go down?
So the guys that I talked to tonight that were there said that they started at Attaboy. So the creek runs sort of east to west or west to east. I'm not sure which way the water flows, but whatever. So they started at Attaboy, which is on the eastern part of town, and went all the way down to Market Street, which is basically the main street of Frederick, right? And some of them said that they actually sent pucks that far, and I don't know how that's possible, because there are actually some featured artworks, like iron art. I don't know what you call that, but in the middle of the creek. And then also the boats are in there. And I'm not sure that the boat people would be thrilled to hear that pucks were around there, but that was the joke anyway.
maybe the walls of the creek are I haven't ever paid attention. Maybe they're smooth enough. You could just like ring a shot around the boards down the creek.
Yeah, maybe that was the deal.
It's kind of like Mystery Alaska, like skating the river. Just skate the creek. You gotta skate the creek.
Yes, exactly.
Makes me think of that Christmas song that's kind of depressing. The "Wish I Had a River" Christmas song or whatever. I don't know who sings it. Sarah McLachlan. It's from a.
What are you doing listening to that?
Yeah. I've heard it, but I don't know.
Is this like the Oranges thing?
This is definitely
I don't know. Somebody recognizes it, I bet. But it's a common phrase in Canada too, I believe, is that I wish I had a river to skate away on or whatever. And that's I don't know. That's pretty cool.
That sounds like
yeah.
That sounds like something Ron McLean would say.
Yeah.
On Hockey Night in Canada.
How does the Arkansan know about this stuff? This is a thing. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
A
know.
listener will back me up. I guarantee it. You watch.
All the holiday tunes that I listened to were sung by Dean Martin and Bing Crosby and Frank
And
Sinatra.
aren't depressing.
And Wham.
No.
And Wham.
Aaron has the emo Christmas playlist.
He had Simple Plan, Sarah McLachlan.
Simple Plan sings Christmas songs. Yeah, those are going to be good.
Taking Back Sunday.
Anyway, that's a pretty cool experience though for them to skate on the creek. I'm a little jealous.
You and Riggs skated again.
Yeah, we actually got back out on Saturday to go skate on the pond, same pond that we did a week ago, but a little bit bigger turnout this time.
Yeah. So it was a more coordinated effort. A lot of the attaboy players that were on the creek yesterday were at the pond on Saturday. Plus, some of our friends on other beer league teams in Frederick were there, to the tune of about 30 people out on the pond. Someone had gone on Wednesday and resurfaced it a little bit. And then I think just naturally the ice conditions got better over the week. And then they had done some work, I guess, that Wednesday and that Saturday morning before we got there. Lucky us, shoveling an absolutely huge area.
Yeah.
Like think about a normal width of a rink, probably 1.5 to 2 times size that wide, and then probably as long as goal line to goal line on a normal rink. It was a huge area.
It was very large. Yeah.
So we were able to, there were enough people willing to play shinny that we had like teams of between 4 and 6, like 4 teams running a round robin just continuously for a couple hours, and it was awesome. And
it was great.
The little guys, there were a bunch of kids there, which was great. The little guys had like their area and they were buzzing around.
Somebody
over
brought
there.
a net.
Yeah.
Like an actual net and hauled it out there.
Yeah, the word is that it got left. It's still up there, supposedly on the shore. Otherwise, I think by the end of this week, it might be at the bottom of that pond. But
hopefully, it's not on the shore on the island,
right where we were hanging out.
Hanging out on the island,
which was the coolest part. Is everybody was camped out. There's like a small island in the not in the middle, sort of off center in the pond, where everybody was camped out, which was really, really cool.
It was neat.
Yeah. Somebody had a fire pit going and somebody brought a speaker, and like it was ODR heaven, as they say.
Mm-hmm. It was great. Loads of fun.
Riggs was telling us the one guy we play with, he skated on like the Carroll Creek and like a few others where he was just driving by. He's like, oh, that looks good. And I'm like, you're just going anywhere there's a body of water that looks frozen. You're the vagabond of winter. Like
some of those people skated 5 days in a row between ponds, creek, normal beer league, OFBG games, like the attaboy dudes that skated the creek in the morning and late. They started in the morning and went until like the sun started going down, and then a couple of them are also in OFBG, so they came to the regular OFBG game Sunday night, and then attaboy had a game tonight, so that's a lot of hockey and
that's
just 3 days. But then even some of those folks played a couple days prior to that, so 5 days in a row, harder skating and schedule than a tournament for sure.
Yeah.
Because you have to definitely push off a lot more.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot harder, especially like it's still like it was better ice on Saturday, right, Aaron?
Much better, yeah.
but it's still
a week ago. It was brutal.
It was so
honestly.
soft. It was and it was definitely better, but it still takes more effort to get yourself moving.
You use muscles. You use different muscles skating on pond ice. Absolutely.
Yeah,
because
especially around
you're
here,
stabilizing yourself way more because it's not flat. I mean, it's just how it is. I had a pretty awesome saucer pass that wasn't a saucer pass until about 2/3 of the way through the pass. But, the puck hit a ridge and just bounce and fly.
It hit the right bump.
Hit the right bump.
But we've been lucky this year. I think we mentioned it last week that it's probably been 3 or 4 years since we've had this much ice in the area that's been safe, for people to be on and actually play hockey on. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully we get opportunities like this more often, honestly. Because it's so much fun.
Yeah. I could do that every day. Just finish up with work, run out to the local pond for an hour or so, and then spend the weekends, as long as kids hockey isn't in the way, which is tough, but yeah.
Well, what happened at OFPG last night? I'm told that there was a bit of a cloudburst of scoring in one game.
Goaltenders duel.
What was the score?
What was the final, Daniel?
11-7.
18 goals in 45 minutes.
Maybe, or maybe 12. Was it 12?
No, it was 11.
7?
Easy.
Okay. At least, minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah. That was kind of like first period, I think, was like somewhat tame. And then after that, somehow I think, I don't know if it was a combination, just people started shooting more or the goalie started missing more pucks. I can't tell, but yeah. One of the two. I don't know which side of the equation you want to be on.
We had 5 hat tricks.
5 hat tricks
total.
in the
5
game.
separate people had hat tricks.
Yeah.
That's tough.
John and I were 2 of those.
Oh, look at you guys, big shooters.
Doling it out,
Well, the other thing too, I was just kind of ragging everybody too, just being my normal self, but funny about it. So one guy is kind of funny. I wore the everyone knows the Montreal Canadiens barber pole jerseys from a few years ago. So I wore those socks, and it was off one of the face-offs after Daniel. He got one. He got his first one, and I yelled at him "Nice job, loser! Keep the puck!" Just messing with him. Something, and then later someone started yelling, "Nice socks, moron!" And I was like, "Why don't you take another slap shot at our goaltender's chest?" Just kept doing that all night, pretty much. Just yelling at people is funny.
Yeah, Johnny's mouth was in full effect last night.
I scored, and then Danny just came by. He's like, "You gonna keep that puck?" He did the same thing. It was funny. So, but everyone was kind of, good spirited, and we actually, I think we each had a shorter than normal bench to some extent too, which is good. Lots of ice time for the shooters. So.
Contrary to the score, the game was actually a really good game. It was
back and forth. No one was. I mean, we even kind of said jokingly on the bench, guys, I have an odd feeling we're gonna have to score a few more to beat these guys. It was kind of that game because every time someone would turn the puck over or connect on a pass, it was a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 or a partial breakaway. So it was
odd man
fun.
Breaks.
Yeah, it was fun.
Sometimes it's not every game. Some games are low scoring, but sometimes you get there and you're playing a few shifts and you're thinking to yourself, we're gonna have to score 10 to win this game, guys.
Well,
sometimes it's like that.
It's funny you mentioned it. Danny and I had a game in the other league we play in on Saturday at 10:30, and both of us even kind of said after the game, I don't feel right with this 10:30 start time. I feel like my body's ready to bed. My my brain half works at that point. Yeah, it just didn't.
I felt like shit.
It didn't work. We both made a lot of plays in that game where we're like, I'd really like that back, or up 2 hours in time, and doesn't happen. And then on Sunday night, everything we probably would have normally done worked.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny how just 2 hours makes a big difference. So
yeah, those 10:30 start times, man, they're brutal.
Yeah, that basically means you're not getting off the ice until midnight, and then you got to shower, so you're not even leaving the rink until midnight 30, and then depending on where you are, you're not going to get home until 1 a.m. or whatever. I
do like how you say, Aaron, you got to shower. Yeah, you do have to shower.
Of course you do. If it's an option, you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
We've covered this.
It's not an option.
Some think it's just a suggestion. Like, oh, you can have ketchup with your French fries. Like,
you can put cheese and gravy on them.
You can. You can.
It's true.
Not everybody likes it. It's a suggestion. That's a suggestion.
Okay.
Easy there.
Ooh.
I think point was made.
Jimmy Stu just scored a nice overtime goal.
Too bad he can't play for Germany in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, and Draisaitl, and Grubauer.
Yeah,
and all of the great players that are playing in the league. It's ridiculous. It stinks.
Yeah, yeah. The tournament's gonna be kind of a, I don't know what.
I hate to say it, I'm not really that excited about it at this point. I mean, I'm semi excited to see some of the players that are going to get to play because it's cool to see them. But
I
don't know. I don't care about who wins the medals. I'd like to see some of the players play, but I don't really care who wins at this point.
I'm really excited for the Team USA men's roster just because they went young. And a lot of the college hockey kids that were going to be at the World Juniors until it went to shit with COVID are going to be on that squad. And I think that's exciting. However, because the Olympics are being played in Beijing, the game times are like 11:30 at night, 8:10 in the morning, 3 something in the morning, like
almost exactly 12 hours difference. Yeah.
Right. So, right.
Now, I don't mind the 8 o'clock start times though. 8 a.m. That's kind of like if you're a fan of golf, you get the European tour, like coffee golf as they call it. You get your coffee hockey in the morning. It's nice. And if you have the option. Now for ratings, I don't think that's going to do very well. Ratings, I don't think so. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, unless it's a medal game, and this is such an American thing to say, unless it's a medal game and USA is playing, I'm not going to watch.
Nope.
At those times.
Not going to watch.
I'm sorry. Even though
who would watch? You're right.
Even though
oh my God.
Even though I am very excited for that roster, I'm not going to have the game on at 8 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to start watching a game at 11:30 at night. I mean, I get that they're at, that's the venue, right? They're in Beijing, and the way we do time is the way we do time. And whatever, right? There's only 24 hours in a day. But where are your primary audiences? Because really, what is the event? It's they're trying to make money.
Of course.
Right? So where is the event? Where is your primary audience? Right. And so for that tournament, it's not East Asia. It's going to be North America, Europe. So if there's some happy medium in scheduling games for that audience, maybe that's what you do. And again, that's a very North American perspective on it, right? And it's somewhat selfish, I think, but I don't know.
That's North American for you,
right? Well, right. But I just think, if you're part of the double IHF and the Olympic Committee, you think about your business and how do you maximize your audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret the majority of hockey consumers and thus the money is in North America. This is where the game really is played most often. Like, it's all over Europe. There's big leagues in Europe. Absolutely. Not to downplay that at all, but in terms of the sheer number of people who consume hockey, it's North America, like hands down. It's Canada and the United States. So you'd think that would be at least a consideration. Maybe it is a consideration. This is just they decided not to do it, but
or this is the best thing you do, right?
Right, or the best thing. I mean, you do also have to think of the athletes. They're over there, and you can't really expect them to sleep from 8 in the morning until like you can't really expect that. They've been there for a week or so, and they're acclimating to the local time and all that. So that has to come into play as well. But
yeah, I get that. I get that for sure.
And also, too, it's not also a like for the double IHF, World Junior Championships, and World Championships. They try to make a good chunk of those games like as close to prime time or within a decent viewing window for a TV consumer. However you choose to listen to the game. Some people still do radio. Olympics, as much as we're standing here going, man, this isn't fair, the game times and everything. Hockey is such a small portion, and I guarantee in the grand scheme of the Winter Olympics, it makes a fraction of the money compared to some of the other stuff. Like curling internationally is huge.
I was just about to say,
like in the United States, we kind of go, who? Like who are those guys?
Some
but
of us
it's
do.
getting bigger. It's getting bigger. Some of us follow it.
The average American doesn't even know what the game is.
Team USA is a new skip this year. We're gonna be fine.
He eventually got a gold medal.
I know he's a good guy. We bagged on him for 2 straight Olympics.
Schuster eventually they figured it out and they won. And I've seen the door to the private Duluth curling club because it's right by the convention center where I went to the USA hockey thing. So we tried to open the door, it wouldn't open, but
but Canada, it's huge. The Scandinavian countries, it's massive. In Europe, and the Asian countries love it too. I mean, it's it's booming everywhere. And in the United States, it catches on obviously in a lot of the northern parts.
You just made me make a note to go see what the curling schedules were.
Yeah, see?
I spent all this time trying to find the stupid hockey schedules today and was disappointed. So now I gotta go find curling tomorrow.
That'd be a fun rec league to get into.
Oh my god.
It probably would, yeah.
Yes.
Just slamming beers, playing fucking curling.
Sliding some rocks.
Slide some stones, That would be fun.
Tell you the other winter game that it's not an Olympic game, but it's a game that I would love to play is bandy. And honestly, the thought crossed my mind when we were out at the pond and it was so big. The area was so big and we had like 30 guys ready to play. It's like, let's just all play at once and play bandy. Like it looks like it's so much fun. It's hockey on a soccer field, basically. Like it looks so much fun.
Yeah, but they use they use a ball.
They use a ball, yeah.
And then
the nets are like a soccer net.
The nets are huge.
Yeah. And it's got to be done outdoors. I mean, they don't have rinks that big, so it's basically only in climates that can support an area that big. But
the few videos I've seen of it, it's wild.
Yeah, I got myself onto Bandy TikTok, so I get Bandy videos on my TikTok. And there's a couple of guys who are nuts, dude. I mean, imagine Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby or whatever, and they go through 2 or 3 guys, and then they go through 2 or 3 more, and then they go through 3 or 4 more, and then they score a goal. Like it's amazing.
Aaron is America's #1 Bandy influencer on TikTok.
I'm all about Bandy as popularity. Yep.
Off ice Bandy training videos.
Yeah.
Has tearaway pants.
That's awesome.
The one thing I do kind of like, Team USA went really smart with a coaching staff for the hockey team this year, for the men's. Every single player that is playing for Team USA had a NCAA career as well.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
They either played college hockey or they're playing college hockey right now.
Correct.
Which I was watching Wisconsin and Michigan this weekend, and Matty Beniers, there was like a weird play, and he went down, and they stopped play for a little bit, and Michigan was in Wisconsin for the weekend, and the place was dead silent. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. It's like, oh my God, he's like one of the best players that's going to be on Team USA. So even in Wisconsin, it was just like dead silent, and it wasn't even anything bad. He just something stunned him, and he was just down for a little bit, and he got up and played the rest of the game. And that was, I think, if I remember correctly, Michigan wasn't playing that well. Wisconsin was actually up 1 or 2 goals, and then Michigan just rattled off like 3 or 4 goals, and I turned the game off. I was like, this game's over.
Yeah. It is kind of cool to see like Team Canada and Team USA, their names that the older players on the team, like they're recognizable names. Like if you're like, Rafalski's in it, Ben Street, Jason Demers, Daniel Winnick for Team Canada. You got some guys on Team USA too. But I'll say this, Team Canada, I have their goaltending. I don't see them. I mean, Levi's decent, but outside of that, like if he doesn't think about the Olympics, it's a short tournament. So you don't have a lot of time to get your bearings. So you have one bad game, you got to turn around very quickly. And that either means like your goaltender gets his stuff together, or you go nuclear and you put another goalie in. Team Canada, don't see that happening. I'm glad to see Josh Hosang from the Toronto Marlies. I really hope he has a good showing at the Olympics and can potentially get an NHL contract.
I thought that guy was going to be an NHLer 4 or 5 years ago.
A lot of people did.
He's had a lot of it's not skill. I think there's a lot of mental issues he's had. And
was he the one who like
some stuff
didn't try and practice
No, he showed up late 2 times in a row at Islanders training camp, and I don't know. Yes, he deserves a second chance because other NHLers are getting second chances, even though we don't agree with all of them.
Evander Kane.
But if he has a good tournament, like maybe he gets in a much better spot. Like the Toronto Marlies, in terms of an AHL team to get exposure, that's a good organization. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, maybe he gets a Leaf contract, but frankly, like I don't see that happening.
Where does he fit on the Leafs? Yeah,
exactly. That's the problem.
He doesn't. Yeah.
And then Eric Stahl is also playing, which is kind of cool because we'll probably get an NHL contract afterwards, I would imagine, unless he just has a total collapse at the Olympics.
So Canada's up there, right? That roster's up there.
Yeah.
On the men's side. But they went with like age and experience. Yep. And I don't know, man. That's why I feel like I kind of feel good about USA. And part of it's just because I like a lot of those kids because I watch them. I don't know. I just feel like, you said like the short format, right? And you kind of got to get things going. What's better than just being fast and talented in a short format? Just be the fastest team.
Just
Also-
skate all over their
Just
nuts.
And
right.
also-
just, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
And also too,
go
like
all out. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about like David Quinn. He got dismissed from the Rangers, and like I don't 100% think he felt that was like a fair shake. He's never really said anything about it, and it's his personal business. But let's say he goes to the Olympics and shocks the world, like there's going to be NHL teams calling for him,
Absolutely.
and he deserves a second look. He was a great NCAA coach,
Yes.
and if you look at that Rangers team, the year they're having, like he laid some of that foundation. Yes, Gallant I think is a better coach overall. I'm not arguing that, but David Quinton did a lot of the groundwork for a lot of those guys. So there's something to be said there. And also Claude Julien, he got injured. That's how he read it. He got injured.
he got
Like he
injured.
stubbed his toe or something. So
He got
Jeremy
closed-
Culleton
he closed his hand in the car door or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. and now he
So-
can't. And now he can't go to the Olympics. And
he can't go to the
coach.
Olympics. So
It was his hand. It was his writing hand. So he can't write stuff on the whiteboard. Plays and practice plan and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
What? I didn't
So-
hear about that. You got to be kidding me. The coach,
He
Claude
got hurt.
Julien, got hurt,
He
so he
got
can't
hurt.
go to the Olympics.
He can't go. So he
Legitimate-
can't
yeah,
go to the
legitimate.
Olympics. So now Jeremy
my
Colleton's going. Which I mean, he should
good
have
for
stuck.
him.
He should have
Good
stuck
for him.
around with the Hawks. I mean, really. But
I think they
Anyway.
changed a lot of stuff there just to kind of
because they were grasping
To change
and
stuff.
move
they're
forward.
grasping and desperate not to be in a rebuild, even
Correct.
though they're in a rebuild.
They're in a rebuild.
We're in a very big rebuild. But and actually, I'll touch on the women's really quick. We did that a little while ago. Like this is the end of an era, I think, for Team Canada and Team USA women's. They have a lot of women that are aging out. This will probably be their last Olympics. The next one is in Italy, and then the 2030 is in Salt Lake City. So I don't think we see a lot of those women that we've kind of, they really, Cami Granado and those group of women, they kind of took women's hockey to the forefront. And then I think Hillary Knight, Kendall Coyne Schofield, Amanda Kessel,
The
they
best
kind
Kessel.
of Best Kessel. In the United States, at least, they've kind of moved it forward. And then you have this younger group like Steckline and Abby Rock. They're kind of, right behind them. So we're the defending gold winners. So come and get it, Canada. You ain't getting it.
Well, Canada is on the rise, though.
Very
they-
much so. They
they
have a lot
rec-
of young guns.
They recently won the Worlds, right?
Yes.
So now they're sort of on top. However, like you said, they got older, so now they're getting younger, and there are some questions, right, about how that's going to work for them. It's still going to be those two teams.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's those two teams. Teams like, the Russian team, they have talent, but they don't have depth. Like those two
Yeah.
teams. The Swiss have talent, but they don't have depth. Right? So it's definite, and the Finns too. But it's definitely USA and Canada. And, the cool thing is they're not running, and I don't really remember because this happens every 4 years, but the Olympics. Sorry.
That thing.
So the women's and men's tournaments are not running simultaneously. So the women start this week on Thursday, which is kind of cool. So they'll get going here. Teams, it looks like, basically play every other day, with a couple back-to-backs thrown in the preliminaries. And I think USA plays Russia on Saturday morning. There's a couple local events going on. I know DMV women's hockey, which the Chesapeake Bay Lightning are big parts of, and we've had some of their players on before. They're having an event at the Laurel rink, which is kind of cool. Watch party, and then they have like a skills clinic, learn hockey type thing after that, which is really cool. So it's going to be fun, right? You'll get meaningful hockey through the stupid NHL All-Star break this weekend, which is it's good. Game times are less than ideal, as we've already talked about, but yeah, the women's tournament will be on, and that'll kind of wrap up, and then the men will get started, and that'll be interesting.
Another thing too for the gamers that are listening, EA just updated NHL 22
Yep.
and added 10 of the women's international squads to the game, so you can play the women's Olympic teams in EA or in NHL 22.
It's awesome.
That's really cool. It's the first time in like, I don't know, 10 years I think that they've done the women's squad. I think they did them in one of the games like 10 years ago. But yeah, this is the first time that they've really done like create a player who's female. Like I think you could do a female player in the past couple years, but now you can actually customize them the same way you can like a male created play. It's cool. It's definitely good.
It's great.
Well, and I know too for the women, they still have the World Championship scheduled for like April. So like all within a span of like 8 months, they have the two biggest events. So they have the World Championships twice and then a gold medal. So like there's a lot of bragging rights on the line.
The Worlds then might actually be the tournament to watch, because depending on the results,
it's going to be the grudge match,
right? That's the war, right?
That's like, going to be like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah. That's, and you know, if you haven't watched the women's game, it is many, many times more physical than the men's game.
It is absolutely in a different way. We're not talking about big body hits, but there's a lot of body contact the women's game does.
Constant.
And a lot of people don't realize it. It's cool to see. And actually, I've said this before on here, and I've openly said it. Like, if you look top to bottom on the roster, a women's Olympic roster is normally, I think Team USA, if we had our NHL squad going, I think this would be the case where actually the men, I think, would, you know, skill wise and how they line up are more talented. But 9 times out of 10, the women's Olympic roster, if you look at all the players and how they level up against everybody else, the skill level there is so much different. And it's actually higher levels of skill. So yes, you still have your top end talent like Natalie Spooner and Mary Philippe Poulin. And then on Team USA, you have Schofield and Kessel and Abby Rock and Hillary Knight. Those are elite. But then you have, you know, players that are right behind them. And it's not that far of a gap versus like, you know, you take a traditional Team USA where you got like Johnny Gaudreau, and then later on your lines, let's say you have, you know, like a JT Miller, who's a very, very good NHL player, but, you know, Johnny Gaudreau, and Austin Matthews, that's a better example, probably.
Yeah.
You know, use Austin Matthews and JT
big.
Miller.
Yeah.
Gap's big. The skill is still very prevalent. But
still
like
high.
You take like Abby Rock, probably, who's like on your second or third line, and then like a Hillary Knight, who like during some of the World Championships, she was kind of on the third line. Like, I mean, that's like a star-studded third line you got there.
Yeah. I always found that, like, the analogy was the men's rosters were built like NHL rosters, and the women's rosters looked like college hockey rosters, where it's, you know, it's 4 lines, it's 3 D pairs that you can basically use in almost every situation. You don't have to play matchup games so much. You don't, you know, you just kind of roll your players, and, you know, maybe there's certain things that you do with certain lines or certain individual players, but it's a lot like a college hockey roster where there's more parity amongst your lines and D pairs.
It's funny you mention NCAA, considering like 90% of Team USA and Team Canada, they all played in the same women's programs.
Right.
Like every, like I guarantee you could go down both rosters and go like, oh, these two are teammates this year. These two were teammates over here. These 3 or 4 all in a span of 5 years all graduated from like Wisconsin or something. Like it's crazy to see, especially in the women's game. It's not the way in the men's game, but like I think that's also why it's a little more feisty, honestly, because your teammates, your friends, but it's also like, no, screw you. That's my gold medal. Like, what's your problem? Like, get out of here. Like in college, I had to carry you because you got buckled at the party. Like, screw you, like stuff like that. I'm not saying the NCAA athletes were drinking illegally. I'm just saying in general.
They would never.
They would never.
No one was icing anybody back then.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I guess we want to take a second to also mention that I want to say thank you to Listen Frederick for giving us a chance to do a radio promo this past week. And they're going to put our spot on a couple of the radio stations in the local area here in Frederick. So we're pretty excited about that. We weren't excited about what we were saying because we had to fit everything into 30 seconds, and you can't be off the cuff in 30 seconds. And so we had to write something, and I mean it was
have enough liquid courage.
We didn't have enough liquid courage.
I tried to remedy that.
Yes, you did.
You shot me down.
I will give you credit for that.
You guys shot me down.
We did find out after the fact that it would have been okay, but we didn't know at the time.
We didn't know. We were going to a place of business.
A place of business.
Like radio's not like what you see on like old TV and movies where
it's not American Graffiti. Wolfman Jack is not just sitting around.
Right. It's not like that.
It's legitimate business.
It's a place of business. So we didn't want to like bring a bunch of beers in there and, do our shtick. So I tried to write some stuff and that's not how we operate. Everybody that listens knows that that's not how we operate.
Half the time we don't even know what we're going to talk about.
Right. Like sometimes we have some ideas that, okay, we definitely want to talk about this later, but we don't have specific points that we're trying to get to or whatever.
It just flows.
It's all just flow and off the cuff because that's what happens when you're having beers in the lot. But it was super awkward as expected.
Very much so.
But I think it came off well. And if you check out our social media, you could see we posted it today. And if you're local and you're listening to it's on Key 103. It's on Key 103 and then one of the country stations
92 Max, I think.
Something 92 or Max 93, something like that. So I'm not a country guy. And anyway.
I'll speak for the other 3, neither of us are.
And
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zero wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Our relationship or partnership with Listen Frederick has been great. This is just another example of that, and we're happy to be part of the network for sure. So,
and big thanks to Christina for cleaning up all of our all of our noises and gaffes and putting up with us for half an hour, whatever it took.
We hadn't even gone to eat yet. Some of us had indigestion. It didn't make any sense.
All right, there you have it. That is episode 77 of Beers in the Lot. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And another thank you to Listen Frederick and Christina for having us in and doing our promo for us. That was a cool experience, and we really appreciate everything Listen Frederick has done for us. And you, if you've made it this far, you are probably a fan of our show. And it's not just because we are releasing this show on Groundhog's Day that you are hearing probably something very familiar, which is that we want you to join our Discord. Come talk to us. Go to beersandalot.com/Discord. Jump in and join our conversation. But if you do, or if you don't, we still appreciate your listen. Thank you so much. That's it for this week. We'll catch you next time around. See you next Wednesday.